Imagine sharing your bed every single night for 15 years. 15 good years. Kissing the same lips, bearing 3 children for the same man, calling him my husband in front of the whole world, only to travel to his village one Christmas morning and be shown a grave with his full name carved on it. A grave that has been there since before you even met him. My God. My people, this is the story of Abosede and Irawo Johnson. Some of you will say it cannot happen. Some of you will check your husband's old pictures tonight. Sit quietly, turn the volume low, and let this tale enter your spirit, because some husbands have no shadow. In Ilesha, Osun State, there was a young man called Irawo Johnson. Handsome man, tall like Iroko, smile that could make a girl forget her mother's warning. He was the only child of Baba and Mama Johnson, and they loved him the way poor people love their only hope. Then, one morning, Irawo woke up with a headache. By afternoon, he was burning like dry grass. By night, he was gone. Just like that. No long sickness, no accident, no enemy with cutlass. He simply closed his eyes and refused to open them again. The parents screamed until their voices cracked. They rolled on the ground. They tore their clothes. They pointed at unseen witches in the village and cursed them with hot tears. That same day, because death waits for no one, they buried him behind the old family house. A small mound, a wooden cross, and on that cross they carved his name clear, Irawo Johnson. Months passed. The mound settled. Grass grew over it. People stopped talking about him except when they passed the grave and shook their heads small. Life moved on. But in Ijebu-Igbo, far away in Ogun State, a stranger appeared. Same height, same fine face, same slow smile. He called himself Irawo Johnson. No village, no mother, no father, no sister, no uncle. When people asked him, "Brother, where are you from?" he would only laugh and say, "I'm an indigenous like everyone else. It's the same sun that shines on all of us." He started small, helping farmers clear land, the kind of work that bends a man's back and finishes his strength. But this Irawo never bent. He never sweated too much. He never complained. Land that took 10 strong men 7 days, Irawo finished alone in 3. Clean, perfect, not one stump left behind. Farmers loved him. They paid him double. Soon he bought his own plot, then another, then another. Cassava grew fat on his land. Maize stood tall like soldiers. Money began to enter his pocket the way night enters the day, quietly, completely. Women noticed him too. Fine man, hardworking, soft-spoken. Many cooked sweet delicacies and sent through small sisters. Many wore their best wrappers to evening prayers, hoping he would look their way. But Irawo kept to himself. He rented a small room at the edge of town. He ate alone. He locked his door early, and no one, not one person, ever entered that room. That was how the years passed, quietly, smoothly, like a canoe moving on still water. In Ijebu-Igbo, beauty was not scarce, but Abosede carried hers like a crown no one could ignore. Skin smooth like fresh palm oil, eyes that held the color of river water at dawn. When she walked to the stream, the other girls would hiss and say, "This one too fine now." Rich men came in their clean cars. One brought expensive jewelries, another promised shop in Lagos. A politician's son even sent his mother with bags of rice and yards of lace. Abosede only smiled, thanked them, and sent them away. Her heart had already chosen a quiet farmer who never spoke about his people. Every evening when the sun began to cool, Abosede would find one reason, any reason, to pass in front of Irawo's small room. Sometimes carrying firewood, sometimes fetching water, sometimes just walking and humming. 10 times, 12 times, she would slow her steps when she reached his door, hoping Irawo would look up from whatever he was doing and say something, anything. Irawo noticed. How could he not? But he kept quiet. He was not the kind of man who chased women with loud words. One hot afternoon, he came back from the farm early. His shirt was stuck to his body, but there was no tiredness in his eyes. He sat under the mango tree near his house when Abosede appeared again, this time with a small basket of oranges balanced on her head. She pretended surprise. "Ah, Irawo, you are resting here?" He looked at her properly for the first time. No hurry, no noise, just looked. And in that moment, something shifted. Abosede put the basket down. She sat on a wooden stool, not too close, not too far. They talked about the weather, about the price of cassava, about how the moon looked bigger that week. Simple things, but the way Irawo listened, like every word she said was the only sound in the world, made Abosede's heart beat fast. One evening, under that same mango tree, Irawo spoke plainly. "Abosede, I don't have plenty money yet, but I'm almost through building my house. The day I fix the last zinc, I will come and ask for your hand in marriage. I want you to be my wife." Abosede did not shout. She did not dance. She only looked at him with those river water eyes and said, "I have been waiting for you to ask." The whole town heard the news the next market day. People were happy. Irawo was hardworking. Abosede was beautiful and gentle. It was a match everybody liked. Irawo knew the day would come when questions would rise like smoke. The house was finished. The roof gleamed red under the sun. The rooms waited for laughter and children's feet. But a man cannot walk into another man's compound with bride price and no story of his own people. Abosede's father was quiet, yet his silence carried weight. He would ask. Abosede's uncles would ask. Even the women pounding yam would want to know where the groom's mother would sit. Irawo did not sleep well the night he realized this. He sat on the veranda of the new house, lost in thought. Then he made a plan. Early the next morning, he went to Baba Yemisi and Baba Femi, two elders whose words still carried the old authority. Their farms were wide, their backs no longer strong. Irawo stood before them with respect. "Fathers," he said, "I want Abosede. I have built a house. I have money saved, but I have no people to speak for me. If you will stand for me before her family, if you will tell them not to dig too deep into my past, I will clear both your farms next season, alone. Every weed, every stump, every ridge, I will do it." The two old men looked at each other. They had seen Irawo walk. They had seen land that should take 20 hands bow to him in days. They had seen him lift loads that made younger men stagger. They called him, behind his back, the man that never tires. Baba Yemisi spoke first. "We are old. Our farms suffer. If you keep your word, we will keep ours." Baba Femi nodded. "It is settled." 3 days later, the elders went to Abosede's compound. They sat on low stools. They drank a little palm wine. They spoke slowly, the way elders do when they want their words to sink deep. "This young man, Irawo," Baba Yemisi said, "he is a good man, hardworking, respectful. He has no father or mother to bring, but his hands are enough family for any woman. Let the past bury itself. Look only at his good deeds in our community and the future he offers." Abosede's father listened. Her mother listened. The uncles wanted to argue, but the elders' voices were heavy. In the end, the old men won. A date was chosen. The wedding would come soon. Irawo thanked the elders quietly. He did not smile too much. He only bowed and walked, the weight in his chest a little lighter, but not gone. The wedding day arrived bright and loud. Drums beat, women sang, children ran between legs with plates of jollof. Everything moved the way it should. But when the cameraman lifted his lens, Irawo's face changed. He said, "No pictures." Voice low but firm. "Not one." Guests murmured. Abosede pulled him closer. "My love, just one," she begged softly. "For memory." He looked at her for a long time, then he nodded once. Only you and me, nothing else. The cameraman took one single photograph, Irawo and Abosede standing side by side. After that, the celebration ended. The new house welcomed its new wife. Abosede was happy. She carried mats, pots, bright curtains, everything to make the house warm. One afternoon, she brought a tall standing mirror wrapped in cloth. She placed it in their bedroom so she could see herself while dressing. Irawo walked in, saw it, and stopped dead. His eyes turned cold. "Remove it," he said, "today." Abosede laughed at first, thinking he joked. But when she saw his face, the laugh died. But why? Never bring anything that shows a face into this house again. Not mirror, not shiny spoon, nothing. Abosede did not understand. Fear touched her heart, small and sharp, but she said nothing. That same day, the mirror left the house. At night, the door was locked for the couple to enjoy. The lamp turned low, and another kind of strangeness began. Irawo never tired, never. What should finish in minutes stretched into hours. Abosede would cry, beg, faint, wake again, plead for rest. But Irawo's strength had no end. Morning would find her sore, shaking, barely able to stand. Some days she limped back to her mother's house in tears, unable to speak the full shame. Her mother laughed and said, "Is that why you are crying? Meg Bola, when I married your father, I thought I would die the first month. You will manage, you will get used to it." So Abosede managed. She learned to brace herself when night fell. She learned to hide the pain behind quiet smiles in daylight. And slowly, very slowly, her body bent to the weight of her husband's endless hunger. Years began to pass. Children came. 1, 2, 3. Each carrying their father's fine face and quiet eyes. Christmas after Christmas, the roads filled with cars carrying wives and children back to villages. Laughter, merriment, old women hugging grandchildren they had not seen since last December. Every year, Abosede watched her neighbors pack wrappers and yams and travel to the village with their family, and something inside her tightened. She began to ask, softly at first, then louder, then every day, "Irawo, when will I see where you came from? Even if it is just once. I want our children to know their father's people." Irawo always found an answer. "The road is bad. The house there is old. Let us enjoy the peace we have."
But that year, a few days before Christmas, Abosede's patience broke clean in two. She stood in the sitting room, hands on her waist, eyes red with anger and tears. "If you do not take me and these children to your village this Christmas, I will pack my load and go to my father's house. Me and my 3 children. We will leave you in this house alone." Irawo begged. He knelt. He spoke soft words he had never used before. But Abosede turned her face to the wall. Neighbors heard the quarrel. One by one they came. Mama Tolu, Baba Leko. They sat Irawo down like a small boy. "Unless you are hiding something," they said. "What is the meaning of this? A woman has the right to know her husband's route. Take her, let her greet your people. If you refuse, people will talk tomorrow." Irawo's shoulders fell. His eyes looked far, as if he was seeing something the rest of them could not see. He sat on the veranda that night until the moon was high, silent, broken. The next morning, he called Abosede. His voice was low, almost a whisper. "Prepare the children. We leave for my village tomorrow." Abosede shouted for joy. She flew into his arms, kissing his face, calling him the best husband in the world. She rushed to the market, bought new clothes for the children, killed 2 chickens, prepared delicious meal with plenty meat. That night, the house smelled of happiness. When they went to bed, she gave herself to him with all her heart, laughing, singing his name. But Irawo's strength rose like a storm. He took her again and again, until her cries of pleasure turned to pain, until her voice broke through the walls and windows and traveled across the sleeping neighborhood. She fainted twice. She woke weak, trembling, yet still smiling, because tomorrow she would finally see her husband's village. Morning came too quickly. The hired driver arrived in a dusty Peugeot, horn blaring with excitement. Abosede danced out of the house, children running circles around her new wrapper. She was singing, she was laughing. She carried the traveling box on her head as she walked towards the car. Irawo stood by the car. His smile was painted on, thin and cracking at the edges. No one noticed, or if they did, they said nothing. The journey took hours, bad roads, dust, heat. At last, the car engine turned off along a narrow footpath. They all came out of the car. Abosede was super excited. See the palm trees? See how green everything is? Irawo, is this where you grew up? She asked question after question, voice light with wonder. Irawo answered, quiet, mechanical. Yes, that is kola nut tree. That stream never dries. The children grew excited too. They had never seen a village so thick with green. Then the houses appeared, mud walls, thatched roofs, smoke curling gently into the sky. People moved between compounds, goats scattered, dogs barked. Irawo suddenly stopped. He looked at Abosede. His eyes were heavy, tired, like a man carrying a load no one else could see. There, he said, lifting one hand, that house with the blue door, that is my father's house. Take the children, go inside, they are expecting you. Abosede's heart jumped. She almost did not hear the rest. Irawo continued, voice flat. I have to see an old friend. I will come soon. She did not argue. She did not ask why the friend could not wait. She was too happy. 15 years of waiting had ended. Abosede and the children hurried down the path, sandals kicking dust. Irawo watched them go. The children skipped ahead. Irawo stood alone in the middle of the footpath for a long moment, staring at nothing, as though the world around him had suddenly become distant. Then, without a word, he turned toward a patch of tall, whispering grass and slowly walked into it, disappearing from sight. Meanwhile, Abosede finally arrived at the family house. She greeted the elders warmly and introduced herself confidently. I am Irawo's wife, she said. The elders looked at one another in confusion. One elderly man stepped forward and asked quietly, Which Irawo? From where? Abosede frowned. Was she in the wrong place? The house was exactly as her husband had described. She explained again. My husband is Irawo Johnson, and these are our 3 children. The elders were stunned. They looked closely at the boys and their hearts nearly stopped. The resemblance, the face, the eyes, even the smile. They looked exactly like their late son. Yet none of them knew how to tell this woman standing before them that the man she called husband, the father of her children, had been dead for years. Still in disbelief, Irawo's father asked gently, Why did you come alone? Where is your husband? Abosede answered without hesitation. We came together. He said he wanted to quickly see an old friend before joining us. He pointed to this house and said this is where his family lives. The old man felt his heart sink. It was too much to take in. Even Abosede sensed something was terribly wrong. Her hands shook slightly as she opened her box and brought out a photograph, the picture from their wedding day. She handed it to them. The moment the elders saw it, tears rolled freely. There was no doubt. The man in the picture was their Irawo. Same face, same height, same smile, everything. The family quickly ushered Abosede and the children inside, telling her to rest. They pretended to be calm, hoping, praying that perhaps Irawo had truly returned and would walk through the door. But as time passed, villagers began gathering outside. Some murmured, some shook their heads, some even cried quietly. One elderly man finally gathered courage and broke the news. My daughter, the man you call your husband, he is our son, yes, but he has been dead for many years.
Abosede jumped to her feet. No, that is not true. How can Irawo be dead? We have lived together for years. We got married. I bore him 3 children. He left me just a moment ago to greet his friend. Her voice cracked. Tears filled her eyes. The man placed a firm hand on her shoulder. Come with me. He led her gently to the backyard. There, under an old tree covered in moss, she saw it. A grave, a weathered wooden sign, and written clearly on it were the words, Irawo Johnson. Her legs gave way. She collapsed to the earth, trembling. You mean my Irawo is dead? You mean all these years I have been with a ghost? Before anyone could hold her, she sprang up like someone possessed and ran toward the narrow path where she last saw him. Irawo! Her voice echoed through the quiet evening. Irawo, please come back. I don't believe it. You are not a ghost. Come back to me. She screamed until her voice broke. Then she saw them. His shoes, placed neatly by the tiny footpath. The final sign that Irawo had removed them before crossing into whatever lies beyond. Abosede fainted on the spot. By the next morning, when she regained consciousness, she made a painful decision. She left the village, but she left her 3 children behind. She said she could not be the mother of a ghost's children, not after everything she had just seen. She traveled back to her father's house in Ijebu-Igbo. Her parents were shaken to the core. How could such a thing happen? Weeks later, when Abosede finally gathered courage and returned to the home she once shared with Irawo, strange memories flooded her mind. How Irawo never had a shadow. How Irawo never allowed mirrors in the house. How dogs always barked at him for no reason. Everything suddenly made sense. That night, she slept alone in the house. Just one night. At exactly 2 a.m., she heard footsteps in the sitting room. Heavy, slow, familiar. The bedroom door creaked open its own. A cold wind drifted in. She did not turn. She only whispered, I know you now. Silence. But the bed dipped quietly on the other side, the same way it had every night for 15 years. She felt the weight. She felt the hand on her waist, steady, gentle, exactly the way Irawo used to hold her. She closed her eyes and let the tears fall. By morning, the bed was empty, the house was empty, and Irawo was gone. Abosede never entered that house again. In time, she accepted her fate and began to rebuild her life. But she could not forget her children. Her love for them was stronger than fear. Eventually, she went back to Ilesha and brought them to her own father's home, promising herself that no matter what their father was or had been, her children would grow up with love. Years passed. Her 3 boys grew tall and strong, carrying their father's face and their mother's sorrow. When the eldest turned 22, he gathered his brothers and returned to the mansion. They swept the floors, opened the windows wide, and moved in. The house accepted them. The land accepted them, and the farm began to flourish again, just as it did when their father lived. But every December, on the night before Christmas, the people of Ijebu-Igbo still whisper about what they see. A tall man in a white agbada, walking slowly towards Irawo's house. No shadow behind him, dogs barking until their voices crack. He stands in front of Irawo's house, watching the warm lights for some minutes, then turns quietly and disappears into the dark. And far away in Ilesha, fresh palm fronds sometimes appear on Irawo's old grave, placed there by no living hand. Before you marry a man with no past, ask him to stand in front of a mirror. If he refuses, run for your life.